Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone doing? If you haven't noticed, I am at home today because I want to make sure my volume is off. I'm at home today because Quiet got a cold. And so to play it safe, I'm going live from home today. And I will be back in the studio on Thursday. But it's so nice to see everyone here. I'm so happy to see everyone. How was your weekend? Yes, I'm okay. Hi, Becca. Thank you so much. I got this. Was this on my... No, this was, I think it was my wedding anniversary. I got this shirt with Miko when we were in Oaxaca. I was like, I have to bring something home, and this was it. Thank you so much, Becca. How is everyone doing? How's everyone's weekend? Monday was Martin Luther King Day, and I spent the day relaxing and reading up on Martin Luther King and obviously making sure that, whatever I was reading was not whitewashed in any way. And, it was really inspiring, honestly. How did everyone else spend their Monday? Oh, thank you so much. You guys are giving me such nice compliments. Such nice compliments. Thank you so much. I have so many announcements today. I don't even know where to begin, honestly. We have a lot of change up happening, a lot of really amazing things that I'm adding to ePredators, and I'm really happy to announce everything. Obviously, first we'll go into the whole quick spiel of, welcome to ePredators Daily. I'm your host, Alexa Nikolas. I am a survivor. I am an advocate. ePredators is completely DIY. It is grassroots. And so, I just want to mention a few ways for all of you who are tuning in to help support the channel. Adam, thank you so much. I am doing well. I got a good recharge this weekend. I needed the recharge. It was just family time, Nova, truth time, and it was wonderful. Thank you so much, Adam. So a few ways of supporting the channel is obviously liking this video, subscribing, sharing this video, turning on your notifications. Also becoming a member on YouTube. We have 3 tiers: the Munchies, the Dinner Party, and Chef's Kiss. And the Munchies and Chef's Kiss give you access to the wonderful Discord community. And I honestly cannot say enough about the Discord community. It is so wonderful. And I just adore that community so much. What else am I going to say? Oh, okay. So yeah, Dinner Party and Chef's Kiss is the Discord. And then the Dinner Party in all 3 tiers, every other Friday, we're doing Social Change Now together, which has been wonderful. We're doing a workbook where we are figuring out our own unique voices when it comes to social change. And I love that. I can't recommend it enough. Jay, welcome to Chef's Kiss. Oh, is that Adam again? That high definition video quality though. Yeah, no, it's a total different camera today. We have no lights. We have no lights in here. This is just straight up daylight going on in here. I'm glad you noticed. I'm so glad you noticed. And Jay, welcome to the Chef's Kiss. Chef's Kiss is Hard Feelings by Jeanette McCurdy. We're listening to each episode of her podcast and sharing our own hard feelings and going through it together. And I can't honestly recommend that enough either. It's been so wonderful to connect with everybody. And then going into the main ways to support the channel. Okay, we have the merchandise. Let's digest. This is a wonderful way to support the channel and support the movement. Also spreading awareness in your community wherever you wear it. I've heard a lot of different people have amazing conversations when someone comes up and asks them, what is ePredators? Or what is Power to Survivors? It's a great way to spread awareness. We got mug, we got a t-shirt, we got t-shirts, we got tote bags, which I love my sweater. Wait, where is it? I got to find this sweater, you guys. Give it to me. Oh, there it is. I was wearing the hoodie all last week. I don't know if you guys saw any of the videos, but I was rocking the hoodie. I love it so much. We have a t-shirt version and a crew neck. We have Proud SP for Scientology. The proceeds go to the Aftermath for that t-shirt. And let me see what else. Stickers. I didn't even realize we have a Brewing Justice sticker. So we have that as well. So that's a great way to support the channel. And thank you to everyone who has purchased something from the shop. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's hard out here. So I really appreciate your support. And then we have the Patreon. And the Patreon was one of the first ways we started reaching out to community. It helps with our protests, our protest signs. It helps allies and survivors get to the protests. And so I can't recommend this enough because honestly, it really, really helps support the entire movement. So if you feel like becoming a donor, there's multiple tiers. One of them gives you access to, wait, let me go full screen for this. You guys. You guys, there's so many announcements. Like I don't even know where to begin right now. Okay. So before I go into the zine that is about to launch sooner than later, I have decided to go back to only Tuesdays and Thursdays streaming on YouTube. And then Fridays is for community only. And then I was also thinking to do Wednesday for community only, and we'll watch a doc. We'll switch it up, but I'll still be going live, but it will only be for the members on YouTube and Patreon. So, oh my God, David, whenever you come through, it's like always the holiday season with David. David, thank you so much. Wow, grab them. There's 20 memberships that David just gave out to everyone, which is so kind of David. Please grab them if you are not a member. I cannot recommend this community enough. Thank you so much, David. And we're reading your poem this Thursday. I can't wait to read your poem. Wait, what was I saying? Oh, announcements. So Wednesdays will be members only, and we'll watch a doc together. We'll surf the web a little bit. It will just be community based only. Then Tuesdays and Thursdays will be the main show going live on YouTube. And then, wait, there was something else I wanted to add. Oh, and Friday. This is so exciting. I'm so excited to announce this. Every Friday, we have a certified meditation teacher who is going to be hosting guided meditations for the survivor community, which is so exciting. And it is my really, really, really good friend, Sibi, aka Prashant. He is incredible. I am so happy that he's going to be doing this weekly. And I know that we still have Wednesdays and Saturdays for the survivors listening group. And that is, honestly, I've only been hearing such amazing things about that. It's a place to vent. It's a place to connect. It's a place to share your story safely. And that's Wednesdays and Saturdays. And then we got Fridays now for the meditation, guided meditation. I think the first one's going to be on the 26th, and that's for members only of Patreon and for YouTube. And we know that we go into very heavy topics, obviously, here with e-predators. And so I am trying to find every which way to balance it out and make sure that, you know, this is also a healing space and as safe of a place as possible. That was hard to say. But seriously, I'm trying to create a safe place here and also a healing environment. And so I'm so happy to announce that. So Wednesdays will be also community only, going live. Tuesdays and Thursdays will be the show. And I'm going to figure out what I want to do on Monday. So if you guys have any recommendations for what you guys would like to do Monday, that will also be community only. And just a little bit more, you know, an intimate group. And I'm really, really looking forward to that. So that's the announcements. And then we got one more announcement. We are protesting the Grammys. Protesting the Grammys. And I am really, really looking forward to this protest. You know, as you all know, I have been speaking out about the cover-up of SA in the music industry for many years now. And, you know, with the New York look back window that opened up the statute for all adult survivors of SA, we saw so many execs and also artists being sued for, you know, allegations in regards to SA. And we also saw, you know, companies, corporations being sued for the cover up of these, these survivors. And so enough is enough. You know, enough is enough. And I know that the world is finally saying that there is a Me Too movement or a Me Too moment happening in the music industry. And we have to make sure that we keep it up and we don't just kind of, you know, okay, it's happening and, you know, people have been getting exposed and we just kind of relax now. It's really important. Now is the time to not only put pressure on these corporations, these institutions, to make sure that they are no longer covering up, but also that they are held accountable for these allegations, because cover up is serious. And we all know as survivors how hard it is coming forward. And if you add the layer onto that of an institution not supporting you, not supporting your justice journey, ghosting you, erasing you, not supporting you, maybe even promoting your predator, right? What kind of message does that send to the world? What kind of message does it send to the world? I know there are so many survivors out there right now who are wondering, should I come forward? You know, what is the environment like for me if I come forward? And we're seeing time and time again, cover up, disbelief, erasure, you know, and it's really time for that to change, especially for the next generation. And so we're protesting the Grammys. The Recording Academy is one of those institutions that is also being sued, 2 lawsuits. We're going to be going into those civil suits today. Got access to the complaints. And, you know, I always notice this. Media just happens to not tell the whole story. You know what I mean? Wait, is this Josh? Josh, I don't care for any award shows. Neither do I. Never have and never will. Also, all those predators deserve no mercy. Josh, thank you so much for your support. Power to survivors. I'm with you. I'm actually not really into the whole award show sports thing personally, but it's apparently a very big deal for a lot of artists. And we do want to make sure that as long as these things do exist, that they are safe environments for everyone. And so we're going to go into these civil suits. I was reading articles about them, you know, in Rolling Stone, in, you know, Los Angeles Times actually did a pretty good article on it. But as you know, so many things get left out, because obviously they can't put everything in there. And also we've learned through, you know, previous videos about crisis managers who go in there and intimidate these publications and tell them what they can and cannot say. Then you also have these very powerful lawyers like Brian Freeman, Marty Singer, who also intimidate. I mean, that's their job, is to protect their client, intimidate publications so that they don't say certain things that they don't feel would properly represent their client. And so a lot of things get left out. And so I think it's really important to look at the complaints. Look at what the survivors have to say. And whenever I do read these complaints, they're so in detail, so specific, and heartbreaking. They deserve to be heard. And so obviously trigger warning today, because the 2 current lawsuits against the Recording Academy and these 2 CEOs, past CEOs of the Recording Academy, are awful. These allegations are heartbreaking, very vivid at times, And, I just want to say first and foremost, power to those survivors out there. One is a Jane Doe. McIntyre is the other one. And I just want to say it was very brave of you to come forward and share your story and seek justice. And it is very inspiring. It's heartbreaking to read, but also extremely, extremely inspiring. And so we're going to get into those today. And let me just check the chat out. How is everyone doing? I see Ariel, Marissa, Juliet, Josh, CJ. Is it Khalid? I want to make sure I'm saying that right. And you have the same last name, actually, as my husband. I never see Gray, and spelled the exact same way, too. Hi, Emily. Hi, S. Hi, Marissa. Sia. Irish Republic Media. Emily. It's so nice to see everyone here. Power to survivors. Wait, I saw something with Ariel above. Thank you so much. Have a good night, everyone. Is Ariel okay? Did I miss something? I'm sorry, Ariel, if I missed something. Have a good night. Have a good night, Ariel. We're here for you. This is such a wonderful community. Seriously, if you're not part of the Discord, there's a few more memberships available that David handed out to everyone. So please grab them because it's such an incredible community. And it really is a safe environment. And so I really hope if you haven't joined, I see Ashley, Amalia, you guys aren't members yet. Please, if there are a few memberships available, click on the green membership give out from David and be a part of the community. We would love to see you there and have you there. Her dog. Oh, I'm so sorry, Ariel. It's the worst. Ariel, I'm so sorry. My best friend, my doggy, passed away last year. What was it? Was it in November? It was in November. Her name was Maya. And now I have her in a little wooden box next to my bed. I also have my cat, Nico, also next to my bed. They're best friends. I'm so sorry, Ariel. It's the worst. I couldn't stop sobbing. And honestly, every time I even think of them, look what's happening right now. So Ariel, sending you so much love. So much love. And I'm so sorry for your loss. Light a candle for Ariel's pet tonight. Okay, so we're going into it. Ariel, please reach out in the Discord if you need anything. All right, where are we? Okay, here we go. So the first one is Neil Portnow. And Neil Portnow was the CEO of the Recording Academy. Here is an image of this guy. Lord. This is him. Don't forget his face, or I honestly want to forget his face. He is the one with these horrific allegations against him of abusing, his power, etc. And so that's who he is. And we are going to go into this civil suit. Let me see if I missed anything here. Boop, boop. I think I saw... Did someone send? Sia, the memberships are given out randomly by YouTube. Oh, Sia, I didn't know that. So it is random? Thank you, Sia, for telling. I'm still learning all of these things. I'm still learning everything. Thank you so much, Sia, for clarifying that. Okay, so whoever is, I guess, the lucky ones gets it. That's so strange that just that random, but I get it. It makes sense. All right, so to begin with, whoa, too fast. Okay. So plaintiff J.A. Doe brings this action against defendants Neil Portnow and the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences, the Recording Academy. This introduction is really important because this guy, honestly, I'm not a fan of this guy from the first paragraph of this complaint. It goes, it has to begin with women who have the creativity in their hearts and souls, who want to be musicians, who want to be engineers, producers, and want to be part of the industry on the executive level. They need to step up. I'm sorry, come again, dude? What did you just say? They need to step up because I think they would be welcome. I think they would be welcome. What does that even mean? It's already bad. And then he ends it with, I think they would be welcome. So you're saying that women aren't getting nominated, aren't in these exec positions because they're not stepping it up? Or is it possibly, allegedly, maybe because they are being S.A. Neil, right? I mean, what I've been hearing is the reason why these individuals are not in these positions are because powerful men, sometimes powerful women, but mostly powerful men are intimidating and harassing, these individuals, these women out of positions of power. So, all right, dude, whatever you want to say there, already don't like you. So after only one solo female artist received an award during the 2018 Grammys, then president of the Recording Academy, Portnow, provided the above quote during a live televised broadcast to an estimated 19.8 million viewers, in which he stated it is a woman's responsibility to step up in order to achieve the opportunities and successes regularly afforded to men within the industry. The quote came just months before Portnow drugged and subsequently SA'd plaintiff in his New York City hotel room. I mean, just awful. Just absolutely awful. So a little background about Portnow. He, has occupied a powerful and influential position in the music industry. Beginning in 1971, Portnow formed the Portnow Miller Company, Inc., which he provided radio promotions, marketing and creative services, music publishing, and record production for labels such as RCA Records, The Entertainment Company, and Playboy Records. Okay. Portnow, we know a lot about Playboy now. Portnow continued to work as a top-level music production executive with numerous recording companies for over 30 years before being named as president of the Recording Academy, aka the Grammys. Portnow boasts a decade-spanning career as a prominent and powerful music executive, serving as president of the Recording Academy from 2002 to 2019. And remember, this allegedly took place in 2018. And CEO from 2007 to 2019. Portnow has served as the president of Music Cares, a nonprofit organization founded by the Recording Academy. And also, wait, hold on. Music Cares, by the way. Music does not care about survivors. Just putting it out there. So much so that another lawsuit that the Recording Academy is facing currently is against Mike Green. Mike Green is the co-founder of Music Cares. And wait till you hear those allegations. And this has been happening in the music industry decades long. Decades long. And people are like, how does it keep happening? It's because these institutions have been covering it up. Have literally been covering it up. Lauren, Survivors United, I really appreciate how much I learn here from things going on in plain sight that I didn't even realize. Thank you so much, Lauren, for being here. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, here we go. Ugh, God, Music Cares. Music cares about, honestly, no one in that industry. No one. What a ridiculous name. By the Recording Academy in 1989 from 2002 to 2019 when he departed from both organizations. So we got the background. CEO, president, exec. Wait. Okay. All right. Let's get into... So Portnow uses position of power, influence, and authority to commit the non-consensual SA of plaintiff in 2018. So let's remember these years, right? So 2018, plaintiff is an internationally acclaimed musician, inventor, and former member of the Recording Academy. In 2015, plaintiff was invited to perform at Carnegie Hall in New York City. After debuting at Carnegie Hall in approximately 2015, plaintiff was invited to become a voting member of the Recording Academy. Oh, Lauren gifted a membership. Thank you so much, Lauren. Thank you so much, Lauren. That is so sweet. Thank you so much. Okay, so in January 2018, wow, and we're in January right now. So this is, this survivor's, I don't know if anyone talks about this, but let me go full screen for a second. Survivors have what they call, and I don't really like the term because anniversary, you think of something positive, but they call it that. It's usually the anniversary of the SA, of the ABUSE, and it can be a very triggering time for survivors. Actually, yesterday was mine, one of mine. I have many, sadly, but yesterday was mine, January 15th. And it can make you feel very triggered. And what I realized, interesting enough, is that I would get triggered at random times throughout the year. And the first time I heard about Survivor Anniversary, I started to take note of the dates that were very prominent to me as a survivor. And I realized that my body just kind of remembered. I don't know if any other survivors have felt this before, but the date is very hard on a lot of survivors, and it's not common for survivors to tell those around them that, hey, this is the anniversary of blank, 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 You just don't. Most survivors end up becoming hermit style, and they keep away, or they stay near a close one, and they either cry, or they feel numb, or they feel angry. There are so many different feelings, sometimes all of those feelings at once. And so, this month is this survivor's anniversary. Hate that term. Can we think of another one? I would really like to think of another one. But so, I'm just sending a lot of love to this reported survivor, because it is always a hard time around the date or the month of when the ABUSE happened. And so just sending a lot of love to that survivor, and also sending a lot of love out to the survivors everywhere that, if January is your month, that you sadly had to experience that, I'm just sending a lot of love, and wanted to just take a pause with that and mention that, because people don't talk about it a lot, and it needs to be spoken about. Okay. Wait, do I see? March is a bad month for me. I have only let Alexa end this chat and Reddit know, and it happened years ago. Brandon, I'm so sorry, and I understand. Thank you for trusting this community enough and feeling safe enough to share that. I'm sending you a lot of love. I know how hard that is. I know how hard it is also to even say it out loud or even type it. So I'm sending you a lot of love. And wait, do I see Kid too? I absolutely agree. The beginning of the year is hard for me. Lost a couple friends around this time years ago. Kid, I'm sending you a lot of love. Going to have some rest. Love you all. See ya. Love you. Have a good rest of your night. Okay. So January. In January 2018, plaintiff met Portnow at the Paley Center for Media in New York City, where he was speaking on a panel at an event for the 60th annual Grammy Awards. Approximately 1 week later, plaintiff received 2 VIP tickets to the Grammy Awards and after-party access from Portnow's secretary. Plaintiff was unable to attend due a previously scheduled commitment. 300 members. Oh my God. Miko, really? 300 members. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone. Wow, we're at 300 members, you guys. Power to survivors. Oh my God, like there's all these like great things happening sometimes in the chat, and then I'm reading this like horrific thing. It's like hard to move through both worlds. Okay. Plaintiff was unable to attend due to a previously scheduled commitment. In February 2018, plaintiff emailed Portnow to thank him for the tickets, apologized for not being able to attend the Grammy after party, and to tell Portnow about her magazine. In May 2018, Portnow contacted plaintiff to tell her that he was traveling to New York City. Plaintiff told Portnow that she was interested in interviewing him for her magazine. In June 2018, Portnow arrived in New York City and invited plaintiff to meet him at his hotel to conduct the interview. Plaintiff arrived at the Kitano Hotel, and Portnow greeted her in the lobby before hastily escorting her up to his room. Once inside Portnow's hotel room, Portnow handed plaintiff a toothbrush, toothpaste, travel set, an oversized Grammys t-shirt, and a signed copy of the 60th annual Grammy CD. This is actual images of it. This is, as a survivor, this is reminding me of a similar situation with a very powerful individual as well. So I'm getting a little... Adam, upgraded. Welcome to the Chef's Kiss. Adam. That was nice to see that because I was getting a little bit of flashbacks there. So Portnow then offered plaintiff wine. Plaintiff drank the wine, but Portnow did not consume any. Plaintiff asked Portnow why he was not drinking the wine he gave her. Portnow told plaintiff that he does not drink. Red flag. Shortly after consuming some of the wine, plaintiff began to feel woozy and had trouble focusing her eyes. She had never reacted to wine like this before. Plaintiff attempted to read the wine bottle and asked Portnow what proof the wine was. Portnow ignored plaintiff's question. Plaintiff attempted to check the time on an alarm clock nearby, but was unable to read the time on the clock. Plaintiff attempted to stand up to walk to the bathroom, but her legs were shaking and she was unable to control her body. Plaintiff attempted to leave the hotel room, but Portnow persuaded her that it was too late and that there were no taxis available to take her home. Portnow refused to assist plaintiff with leaving the hotel and attempted to show her something outside the hotel room window while begging her to stay. While plaintiff was disoriented and incapacitated, wow, that reminded me of another word. I was like, what? Portnow attempted to kiss and massage plaintiff's body. Portnow spoke to plaintiff in a comforting voice. Plaintiff pushed Portnow away. Portnow told plaintiff to relax and hushed her. Portnow told plaintiff in a manipulative manner, "I have been thinking about you for a very long time." Do we all know why we're protesting February 4th already? Plaintiff lost consciousness as Portnow was placing his hands around her waist. On separate occasions throughout the night, plaintiff regained consciousness momentarily. Each time plaintiff was in Portnow's hotel bed, each time Portnow was SAing plaintiff. One time when plaintiff regained consciousness, she awoke to Portnow forcing blank, 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 telling her that it was okay. Portnow then blank. Throughout Portnow's essay of plaintiff, Portnow gave assurances to plaintiff, telling her it was okay and saying, "You are the boss." Neil, I just had to stop for a second. I always address them. I don't think they're ever really watching ePredators Daily, but just in case somebody sends this video to Neil, this complaint is disgusting. Beyond disturbing. Also, you telling her you are the boss. I just want to say, guess who's not the boss anymore? You, Neil. Okay. That made me very upset. Like, just picturing that, and this individual who is a CEO telling this reported victim those words, you are the boss, while this person can't move or properly see, allegedly. It's so in detail, though. And that's why these complaints, which I'm going to start doing, actually, and this is why the whole point of the zine as well. I was thinking that alongside the zine, whatever story that we are reporting or talking about, I'm going to start creating a Substack for these complaints to be available online, because sadly, these complaints are very expensive. You know, it is public. They are public. You know, anyone can technically download them, but they are pricey. And so I'm going to start collecting, you know, as many complaints as I can, so we can, you know, anyone who's interested in court watching, which is what Brewing Justice is for. It's really important to court watch, because there are things that are very, very shady that end up happening during litigation. And it is important for the community to, at least the community who is capable of doing that, someone who doesn't get too triggered, right, by reading complaints like this. But to court watch and to keep our eye on this, because this is our tax dollars. We want to make sure that our justice system is working properly, even though we know it doesn't most of the time. But if we keep an eye on it, you know, it might start to change things. If they know that a lot of eyes on it, these lawyers also rely on the media, you know, putting in and taking out what they say they want these publications to do. And so if we can just give the public access to these complaints so that you can read the full story and also hear in what such detail these reported survivors tell their story. This isn't like, oh, this, you know, this happened. It is detail, 20, sometimes to 60 pages of a complaint. And you have to remember that a survivor, because I've been in this situation, I've been in litigation, a survivor has to spend so many hours getting re-traumatized to tell their story again to paralegals, the attorneys, sometimes just people working at the law firm. And it takes a lot for a survivor to go through this. And so it's important to read their stories accurately and sometimes in full if you can, just because it took a lot for them to even get to this point. So, okay, moving on here. The boss thing just really pissed me off. Okay, the next morning, plaintiff woke up woozy and confused in Portnow's hotel bed when the phone rang. After Portnow finished his phone call, Portnow begged plaintiff to remain in his hotel room and under his control. Plaintiff refused and resisted Portnow's pleas. After Portnow left the hotel room for a meeting, plaintiff quickly gathered her belongings and escaped his hotel room. After Portnow essayed, plaintiff was confused and conflicted given his prominence and stature in the music industry and the Recording Academy. Plaintiff was aware of his power in the music industry and her position in it as an artist. Here is power does have an impact when it comes to consent. Plaintiff attempted to contact Portnow several times in the immediate aftermath of the essay to understand and gain clarity as to what had occurred. Portnow ignored plaintiff's communications and ultimately returned to Los Angeles on approximately June 15th, 2018. In October 2018, plaintiff emailed the Recording Academy. So this is now where the Recording Academy comes in. Here's where the institution gets reached out to by the reported survivor. Plaintiff emailed the Recording Academy to notify them of the essay by their executive. Oh, here's the email. Shortly after plaintiff emailed the Recording Academy, plaintiff received an email response from the Recording Academy's chief people and culture officer asking for a phone call to discuss the allegations against Portnow. As you can see here, the email says he is Neil Portnow. It goes, "Hello, it's me. Thank you for your caring. He is Neil Portnow, the president of your organization. He brought me to his hotel room. I have sent a notification to him about that. It was SH by email." And then it looks like the Recording Academy, it's blacked out. We can't see who the person was, but I'm very curious to know who this individual was or is. It goes, "Thank you for emailing this to me." Emailing to me that I can explain. As the Recording Academy's blank, I would need to obtain from you the details. See, and then here's a survivor again having to get re-traumatized to some random stranger here, which probably, in my opinion, does not care. Doesn't care and probably is not interested necessarily in protecting the reported survivor, but probably has more of an interest in protecting the alleged predator. So they're trying to get all the details, not necessarily to protect her, but to protect him. The most efficient way would be for you and I and one of my colleagues, a bunch of strangers, asking for this reported survivor to share the details of what happened to her that night. Look at how this is happening. Which, by the way, this is what really needs to also change. Community needs to step in a different way. There needs to be a whole different type of support. I don't know what it is yet. I'm starting to research to figure this out because I think it's really important. Survivors should not have to carry this on them. Companies should not be emailing reported survivors and saying, "I'm going to need you to hop on the phone with a bunch of strangers and give me the details about the essay." What? There needs to be trauma-informed experts on that phone call. There needs to be serious community allyship that is happening on these phone calls, but that is not what's happening. Instead, these reported survivors are on the phone with strangers, getting re-traumatized to guess what? To not be believed, to be discarded, to be erased. And then a survivor feels like they did all of that for nothing. For nothing. And then after that, I'm sure she had to do it so many more times, either to the police, to her lawyers, then throughout the entire litigation process. And that's why I get very aggravated when I hear that, oh, survivors, they're doing this for X, Y, and Z. This is a lot. This is a lot to go through. It is really, really, really hard to go through what these survivors are going through, and they deserve respect at the very least and support for even being able to say it out loud. Imagine saying it out loud to strangers, and they work with the person, right? And the person you are talking about is a CEO, technically maybe even their boss. I mean, and you're an artist who's trying to have and make it in your own career. It's terrifying. This is beyond terrifying. So, okay. What else does this person say here? I hope this helps. No, you don't seem to help. And that you will give me a few dates and times when you would be available and your phone number so that they may contact you. Please note that we are in Los Angeles. Also, going forward, because this is now being handled by the blank blank, I wonder who that is. It is best that I and my colleagues be your contact people and that you not communicate with, I'm guessing, Neil. Thank you very much. So here's the Recording Academy. In November 2018, plaintiff received an email from Portnow's legal representative containing a private message from Portnow with no mention of the essay. What does it say here? Dear Miss Blank, my client Neil Portnow asked me to forward through a confidential personal note to you that appears below. Jeff Anderson needs to make the font a little bit bigger. My eyes are like, what? I am deeply saddened by your communications, which unfortunately now require me to have an attorney involved. This feels like gaslighty and putting this person into a position of feeling guilty. Involved to send what is completely a personal message to you and copied to nobody else. Please know that I have always respected you in every way at all times, both professionally and personally, as we are both musicians. I'm sorry. I'm getting the red flags here. This is my personal opinion. What is he doing here? It just feels very gaslighty and manipulative and just not feeling good. We understand the beauty that comes from harmony in music, which includes being kind and supportive of our fellow industry members and each other. What happened in New York, though? We are also, allegedly, we also understand that the skill of listening. So it's important that we hear each other with compassion and care. I remember you indicating your interest and belief in the teachings of Buddha. What? Which resonates with me now. Hold on. What is going on, Lauren? My therapist was mad that a nurse made me go to detail about trauma while I was getting psych testing. Oh, is it physical testing? Talking to some rando is even worse in my opinion. Right. And imagine it's also someone you've never, ever even met before, and it's on the phone. It's on the phone and you don't even feel or see the other person's response. And I mean, that's terrifying. Also, what is going on with Buddha? This guy is mentioning Buddha? I'm sorry. It's just giving me this is my opinion. I really have to stress this, but it's giving me the mask feel. You know, the mask is and then we know that when it comes to alleged predators or predatory behavior in general, they'll mirror people. That's their thing, to make you feel comfortable. They're not actually being themselves. Their whole goal is to make you feel like you are safe with them. And a way that they do that is through camouflage or through mirroring. And what I'm getting from that email right now is that is mirroring, where he's mentioning that she is interested in Buddha. Now he's bringing up Buddha. Then there's like the gaslighty feel where he's making her feel guilty that he had to get an attorney. And from my own personal experience with Milos, that was the whole thing. Even when I was, rushing to go to this mediator that I was not wanting to, it wasn't consensual. He was telling me about how much it was per hour. Where are you? This is like a text message. It's $500 and whatever dollars an hour. This pressure and making me feel guilty. And that's just a red flag to me. This email is not sitting well with me. It's not sitting well with me. Okay, where are we? Okay, we also understand. Where's Buddha again? Buddha. What better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace. Neil, you are such a white bro. Like, what is this? Why are you mentioning this? At this time of our American... Oh, then he brings up Thanksgiving. There we go. I was like, this is sounding exactly what he looks like, honestly. At this time of our American Thanksgiving, which represents being thankful for blessings, we all know what Thanksgiving actually is, by the way, Neil. Where are you, boomer? Sorry. But like, what? I am hopeful that we can find peace and look to you to participate in finding that path. Sincerely, Neil. He does not explain Thanksgiving to her. First of all, mansplaining, also not accurate when it comes to what Thanksgiving actually fucking is, by the way. It's not, Thanksgiving should be canceled. But I guess he wants to mansplain to her his perspective of what Thanksgiving is, and it's all peaceful and blessings and thankfulness. Am I the only one just hating this vibe? This email is got Buddha in it, and then mansplaining to her what Thanksgiving is, and not even giving accurate context to what it is. In December 2018, plaintiff filed a police report with the New York City Police Department naming Portnow as the perpetrator who SA'd her. In August 2019, Portnow officially stepped down. So in December 2018, plaintiff filed a police report. So there is the survivor again, re-traumatized, having to tell now the police. There's a police report naming Portnow as the perpetrator. Then in August 2019 is when Portnow officially stepped down. That should be in quotations, by the way. Step down. That's what all of these alleged predators that are in these exec positions say. And it's a way for the company to not look like it has an opinion about this individual. Kind of like Dan Schneider. Remember when Dan Schneider left was the word? But we now know what was happening behind the scenes. There was an investigation. Dan Schneider is Dan Schneider. And they get these severance packets, by the way. So when these alleged predators step down, aka leave, like get kicked out of the company, they get these umbrella packages, severance plans, sometimes millions of dollars, because the company is, I think it comes from like old world archaic concept of protection, that they're not getting rid of somebody because they believe it to be true. So a non-biased way of letting go of somebody is to give them something to leave with. So it's like, here, take this, and hopefully that makes you feel better so that we don't have litigation in our business model. And so many, and then you have the survivor who, I mean, I'm not sure what her career is, but probably not in the same type of high profile position as Neil Portnow. And you're just like, all right. Yeah, get that. Yeah, there it is. The money bag and the parachute. Yeah, golden parachute. That's what it is. So Portnow officially stepped down. Deborah Dugan. Now this is where it gets interesting. Deborah Dugan was named as his replacement. This gets really interesting. And took over as president and CEO on August 1st, 2019. On January 16th, 2020, only months after appointing Dugan as Portnow's successor, the Recording Academy announced Dugan's administrative leave. On January 21st, 2020, attorneys for Dugan, Portnow's replacement, filed a discrimination complaint against the Recording Academy with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission in Los Angeles, California. Contained in the complaint, amongst other allegations, Dugan's counsel asserted that during a May 2019 meeting of the board prior to beginning her role as president of the organization, Dugan was informed of SA allegations brought against Portnow. Specifically, Dugan was told a foreign recording artist and Academy member had accused Portnow of SAing her. Per the complaint, Dugan alleged her firing occurred after Dugan refused to bring Portnow back into the organization as a consultant for the Grammys. Recording Academy, what are you doing? What are you doing, dude? This is wild. So now a woman gets hired, which, by the way, okay, hold up. We all know why you hired a woman after your good old friend Neil Portnow over there that loves Buddha and loves Thanksgiving. And likes to mansplain what Thanksgiving is to his reported victim. You hire a woman to what? Make a statement because Neil Portnow was making you guys all look bad, most likely. You hire a woman. And then when this woman finds out about the allegations and you're trying to have him come back and get his way back into the organization, she says no because she has ethics, standards, morals. You fire her? This is music industry 101. This is how it works. And then you got to realize, like, this is why people within the music industry are afraid to speak up. They're afraid to speak up because this is what happens. This is what happens. They get fired. They lose their jobs. And what's so sad about it, it's like Neil Portnow is gone. And you're trying to bring him back. And I'm sure she was also offended that the Grammys was trying to have a man come in and like oversee what she was doing. And then it's an alleged predator at that. How offensive. Like if I was the CEO there, I would be livid. I'd be like, excuse me, now you're even going beyond misogyny at this point. You're telling me that I need an alleged predator to look over my work? Why? Didn't you already get rid of him for the allegations? And now you want him to oversee my work. Disgusting. And then when she probably said maybe something similar like me, she probably was a lot calmer. Maybe, I don't know. I would be livid. They fire her because she doesn't want an alleged predator looking over her shoulder, mansplaining to her what Thanksgiving is and Buddha. I'm just saying. Don't like any of this, which is why we are protesting February 4th, because this shit is nonsense. Absolute nonsense. All right. Per the complaint, Dugan alleged her firing. Got it. As a consultant, an alleged predator as a consultant. You can't be real, Recording Academy. Shame on you. Shame on you. See you February 4th with my megaphone. Portnow released a statement after Dugan filed her complaint stating, the allegations of are ludicrous and untrue. So wait, Portnow released a statement after Dugan filed her complaint. So now he says something. So now he's like, okay, now I have to say something. Are you going to talk about Thanksgiving? And I'm sorry, I can't get over the Thanksgiving and Buddha in a white guy's email. Like, the allegations of are ludicrous and untrue. The suggestion that there was a R is disseminating a lie. The baseless complaint about my conduct referenced in the EEOC filing was immediately brought to the attention of the Board of Directors Executive Committee. Yeah, but you know what, Neil? Do I like those people either? They always say this. This is the thing I get so annoyed by. They always say that. Oh, but there was this internal investigation and then an independent one. But it's like, we've learned time and time again that the cover-up still happens, by the way, regardless of it being an in-house investigation or a paid-for external investigation. I mean, the Dan Schneider thing, same thing. They were like, oh, we didn't really find anything. And then we realized that there were things happening. It's like, did Nickelodeon interview Jeanette McCurdy when they were doing their investigation and found nothing? Because she sure had a lot to say about the creator. So where the fuck was Nickelodeon when they were doing their internal, external, whatever the hell investigation? It's a bunch of nonsense language. It's all just these guys talking. An in-depth independent investigation by experienced and highly regarded lawyers, ones like Brian Friedman, was conducted, and I was completely exonerated. There was no basis for the allegations. And once again, I deny them unequivocally. All right, dude. Whatever. Portnow's comments at the 2018 Grammys, his decision to step down as president and CEO of the Recording Academy, and Music Cares. Wait till we get into Music Cares. And Dugan's hiring and termination were widely covered in the media after the settlement was announced. So there was a settlement. As a direct result of defendant's conduct described herein, plaintiff has suffered and will continue to suffer great pain of mind and body, severe and permanent emotional distress, physical manifestations of emotional distress, embarrassment, humiliation, physical, personal, and psychological injuries. Plaintiff was prevented and will continue to be prevented from performing normal daily activities and obtaining the full enjoyment of life. And or has incurred and will continue to incur expenses for psychological treatment, therapy, and counseling, and on information and belief has and or will incur loss of income and or loss of earning capacity in her musical career. In addition, plaintiff was unable to maintain her status. Plaintiff was unable to maintain her status as a voting member of the Recording Academy. Wow. So she was 37 years old. By the way, Neil Portnow is 75 years old. 75. Says defendant, the Recording Academy continued to employ defendant Portnow, enabling his ability to use his authority, power, and fame to exploit, harass, and a plaintiff. Just horrible. The Recording Academy had a history of SH in its organization prior to Portnow's SA of plaintiff. And there we go. Signed. Filed November 8th, 2023. So we saw a lot there. We saw really the journey of the survivor having to reach out to the Recording Academy, having to be on a phone call, talking to them, getting re-traumatized, then going to the police. And you know what's interesting about this? What year is it? It's 2024. This happened in 2018. And what came about this? I'm very curious what happened what happened to the police, what happened to the investigation. I know as a survivor that the police didn't do anything. They ghosted me. Even they had me go in there for 3 hours and speak to them, relive everything. My lawyer was in the room. It was so scary. Re-traumatized, had to put all of the evidence together on a hard drive and leave the hard drive with them. And nothing came about that. And so it looks like for this reported survivor as well, nothing came of that. Police didn't do anything. It looks like the Recording Academy was really not doing anything. No one seemed to be doing anything. And then now this. Now the window opens up, which is why I really do believe that we have to start fighting with legislation to open up these statutes, because most of the time, the criminal system ends up letting down these survivors, and then they'll string them along. Oh, guys, this is another thing I've been learning. So they'll go to the police, they'll make this report, they'll talk to the detective, they'll get assigned a detective, and some of them are very close to the end of their statute when it comes to these things. They'll string them along and then ghost them or close the case sometimes, and the statute has closed. So then the survivor doesn't have civil access, doesn't have criminal. So that's another thing to keep in mind when it comes to survivors, going the civil route. Most of the time, it's because the criminal actually let them down. Most of the time, not every time, but as you've noticed, a lot of these videos that I've been doing, a lot of these survivors did make police reports. What happened to these police reports? So just really good to keep in mind. So we're moving on to the next CEO. Recording Academy, really not looking good these days. So this is another CEO named Mike Green. We can't necessarily go into all of his complaint because it is 60 pages, you guys. And it is probably, this is all, I hate saying that. Like, it's just very brutal, just like all of them. This one is just horrible. And it's really time for an end. And the reason why I want to talk about this today is because we need more survivor-centric storytellers, so that when we're reading something like a complaint or an article that tries to remain very non-biased and removed and cold, and I don't know, to me it's very Western civilization, very patriarchal, to want to stay removed, non-biased, not really showing all of the details either. It's really important for survivors to share their knowledge when it comes to reading another survivor's story. And sometimes when you have more context, or a survivor can relate to something there, they can share that to potential allies and connect dots for them so that it's not so confusing. And so that's number one. And also, I'm hoping that someone stumbles upon this video and feels enraged enough and cares enough that they show up to the protest on February 4th. And so sometimes the more that we know, sadly, hopefully moves us, and it can mobilize more people to show up on behalf of survivors. And, that's really the purpose here. Okay, so who's the next person? This is who the next guy is. His name is Mike Green. Here he is. Oh, God. All right. This is Mike Green. Okay. How old is he? All right, so this is Mike Green, everyone. This is the co-founder of Music Cares, the nonprofit. I was actually there last year making a speech about the cover-up of SA in the music industry, and now I'm going to be outside of it protesting where I rather be after reading this complaint. So this is Mike Green. Let's get to his. All right. A long list here. As you can see, National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences, Inc., Recording Academy, being sued as a defendant. Okay. I do want to give a little bit backstory of this survivor really quickly, because I like to introduce who this survivor is as a human before going into the trauma. And so, who is this survivor? Her name is Terry McIntyre. As a young single mother in Los Angeles, plaintiff was thrilled when she was hired for the position of executive director of the Los Angeles chapter of the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences, Academy, in approximately 1994. Imagine that era. Plaintiff believed she would be perfect for the position, and the position would be perfect for her. Plaintiff could pursue her dreams of working within the music industry while giving back to the community through the activities promoted by the defendant academy, at the same time provide for herself and her young daughter. So this is a mother, a single mom. Terry McIntyre. So this is not a Jane Doe. This is someone who actually is sharing her name. Let's get into the details here. Look at this here. Board of Trustees and Governors, plaintiff is further informed and believes and thereon alleges that at the times of the defendant Green's SH, SA, and SB, the board controlled, maintained, operated, managed, supervised, and or governed Defendant Academy, Defendant Green. Okay, here we go. Let's get into this. Defendant Green also instructed plaintiff that Defendant Green would coach plaintiff for the interview with the board to help ensure her hiring. Plaintiff found it odd that she would need to be coached for an interview. I found it odd that this white dude was legit trying to explain what Thanksgiving and Buddha was to the reported survivor. It's like, and then the Dugan, who ends up becoming the CEO after the alleged predator, gets told they want the alleged predator to come back and consult her. I mean, this is misogyny. This is sexism. Just put it bluntly. And this is what so many women go through, not only in the music industry, but in most industries. And it needs to stop. It needs to end. These men put it in writing too. They literally put this shit in writing. I wouldn't either been one. I was born in, 92. I was born in 92 as well. All right. So when plaintiff did not know at the time of Defendant Green's offer was that Defendant Green's coaching would include numerous unsolicited calls from Defendant Green, meeting Defendant Green at its home, Defendant Green taking plaintiff out for dinner, and Defendant Green requesting that plaintiff join Defendant Green in his home following dinner. Indeed, Defendant Green did call plaintiff and instruct her to meet Defendant Green at Defendant Green's home in or around Glendale, California. Indeed, Defendant Green brought plaintiff to dinner under the guise of Defendant Green conducting a mock interview with plaintiff. A mock interview where Defendant Green flirted with plaintiff. Indeed, Defendant Green requested that plaintiff accompany Defendant Green into his home after dinner. However, plaintiff declined Defendant Green's request. After avoiding Defendant Green's advances, plaintiff completed her formal and final interview with the board at the Universal Hilton Hotel. Shortly thereafter, plaintiff was informed by Defendant Academy that she had been hired for the position, that she would be the executive director of the Los Angeles chapter of Defendant Academy. Plaintiff was excited and eager to begin what she felt was her dream job. And this is usually what happens here. However, what plaintiff did not know was that plaintiff's position was also perfect for Defendant Green. Plaintiff's position allowed Defendant Green to control plaintiff, to isolate plaintiff, to manipulate plaintiff, to SH plaintiff, and to SA plaintiff. Most important, the position allowed for Defendant Green to provide for his perverse desires unabashedly, without repercussion and without any protection for plaintiff. Plaintiff begins her dream job, but quickly learns that Defendant Green is targeting her. I've been there before. And one day I will be able to tell my story. I've been there before. Yet, plaintiff's excitement and hope quickly began to dissipate after multiple employees of Defendant Academy told plaintiff that she was Defendant Green's type. Plaintiff was blonde, fit, young, and smart. Plaintiff was shocked by these statements, knowing that Defendant Green was married with children. Oh, he's married with children too. Plaintiff soon came to learn firsthand that her peers were not exaggerating. Defendant Green himself informed plaintiff that he expected plaintiff to perform S acts for Defendant Green in order to remain employed and progress at Defendant Academy. Indeed, Defendant Green repeatedly told plaintiff that she needed to give some blank to get ahead. Did you say that, Michael Green? Wow, that one. I've heard that one before. Disgusting. Give some blank to get ahead. Defendant Green's demands for S-acts in return for plaintiff's career were not unfounded. Defendant Green threatened plaintiff that Defendant Green could and would blackball plaintiff's career if she did not succumb to Defendant Green's S desires. With the trap set, Defendant Green just needed to continue to tighten it around plaintiff. Defendant Green SA's plaintiff at Defendant Academy's annual trustees meeting. During the course of plaintiff's employment with Defendant Academy held an annual meeting of trustees. These emojis, the barf emojis, like I want to just like all over the recording academy, like just this is disgusting. So I guess there was a meeting here in Hawaii at the time of Defendant Academy's meeting of trustees in approximately May of 1994. Plaintiff had only been employed by Defendant Academy and under the supervision of Defendant Green for approximately 2 to 3 months. So they're working together. They're in Hawaii. Plaintiff informed and believes and thereon alleges that at the meeting of trustees, the fiduciary trustees of Defendant Academy discuss Defendant Green's compensation and bonuses to be awarded to Defendant Green. Defendant Academy ended the meeting of trustees by hosting a dinner and concert for employees of Defendant Academy. At the conclusion of the dinner and concert, Defendant Green requested that plaintiff meet Defendant Green in Defendant Green's hotel room with other employees of Defendant Academy to celebrate by consuming champagne. Okay, I've seen these before. After plaintiff sipped the champagne provided by Defendant Green, plaintiff quickly began to feel unwell. Sound familiar to Neil Portnow? What's going on allegedly at these Grammy parties, Grammy work environments? What's in the drinks? I actually need to drink something. It's nice to drink something and know it's safe. What? Pretty wild that the same stories happening allegedly again, and 2 different people, but all the recording academy. Quickly began to feel unwell and began to lose control of her physical movements. As plaintiff continued to lose control of her body, she noticed others exiting Defendant Green's hotel room, leaving plaintiff isolated with Defendant Green. No one notices that she's, and I'm sure they did, and they were just like, oh, whatever. It's Michael Green, you know, the boss. Plaintiff's last memory prior to waking up was being alone with Defendant Green in Defendant Green's hotel room. The next thing plaintiff recalls is waking up NUDE in Defendant Green's bed. When plaintiff awoke, Defendant Green was still asleep. Lying NUDE next to plaintiff, plaintiff felt unstable, queasy, and nauseated, but she was determined to exit Defendant Green's room as quickly as possible. As plaintiff gathered her clothing, shoes, purse, and room key, plaintiff noticed what plaintiff is informed and believes was blue candle wax strewn about Defendant Green's hotel room. Plaintiff slipped her dress over her head, grabbed her shoes, left. Plaintiff knew what defendant had done to her. Plaintiff felt blank, blank, blank. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Upon returning to Los Angeles in an attempt to cope with Defendant Green's drugging and SA, plaintiff began to meet with a mental health professional. Although a mental health professional urged plaintiff to report Defendant Green's SA to the police, plaintiff did not feel mentally strong enough to do so. And this happens. This is also her boss. Like this is, I know it. I've been there. I know it. Plaintiff knew that any report she made would not be pursued. That too. Moreover, plaintiff knew by this time that any report she made would effectively end her career. Just as defendant Green got plaintiff her position, he held the power to effectively block her from any further positions in the music industry. Out of fear of defendant Green, defendant Academy, and her inability to provide her daughter without this position, plaintiff could not bring herself to report defendant Green at this time. Okay, we're moving on to the next chapter. Defendant Green continues to leverage his position at Defendant Academy to SH and SA plaintiff. Defendant Green would repeatedly and incessantly walk into plaintiff's office at Defendant Academy without invitation and without purpose. Even when plaintiff was meeting with other professionals in the music industry, Green barged into plaintiff's office and closed the door to plaintiff's office without plaintiff's permission. We're really getting a clear, alleged picture of Michael Green here. And to be honest with you guys, he sounds like a lot of these men in the music industry and just the entertainment industry in general. I wish I could say this is a rare one, this description, but this is the lot of them. And especially, I'm sure, in the 90s and definitely in the early 2000s before the Me Too movement. I mean, it's still happening after the Me Too movement. Look at the allegations against Neil Portnow. There's those allegations. That was in 2018. But still, what I'm saying is the culture was really all up in your face when it came to the patriarchy and enabling predatory behavior. So here we got Defendant Green consistently sat on the corner of plaintiff's desk, facing plaintiff as Defendant Green pressed Defendant Green's legs and feet against plaintiff's body. In an attempt to cope with Defendant Green's repeated violation of plaintiff's personal space, plaintiff began to stand up from her chair and walk around her office when Defendant Green arrived, providing plaintiff the opportunity to prevent Defendant Green from trapping her. This is horrible. When plaintiff did stand, Defendant Green frequently, repeatedly, and or consistently moved toward plaintiff, backing plaintiff into a wall and preventing plaintiff from moving any further from Defendant Green. After backing plaintiff into a wall, leaving plaintiff with no escape route, Defendant Green pressed the front of Defendant Green's body against the front of plaintiff's body. So this is alleged SH. This is a horrible, hostile work environment for McIntyre. This is horrible. And we know this is so many women's story when it comes to working in corporate environments, set environments. We learned about this when it came to Harvey Weinstein. This was considered the norm. This was considered the norm. This was how you also kept your job, was like by not saying anything and just it's the norm. And when I was talking to Los Angeles Times, when we were talking about the shift, when I really started realizing what a predator was, predatory behavior. For me, when I was younger, these predators that I experienced, I was taught and told by others that they were just assholes. Remember that term? Douches. Player. Condescending. Just narcissistic. Has trauma. Didn't mean it. Has a wife. Has children. That's what I was told whenever I would describe predatory behavior on a set, or if I ever experienced it, I would hear from others that. Didn't mean it, just an asshole, just a player, just condescending. An S addict. Heard that one too. Oh, he has, addiction. None of that protected me. None of that helps anyone. It's constantly excusing behavior. And sure, certain things can explain behavior, but it doesn't excuse it. And I never saw in any industry that I have been in anyone really protecting the person who was sharing and saying in detail predatory behavior that they were experiencing, it was always shrugged off by people. And when I'm listening to the description of this dude, of this alleged predator, I can't even imagine what it was like in the 90s, you know, where you're just like, oh, this guy is just, you probably explain these different terms for what he is than what he actually is, you know, and this person, you know, sounds to me, allegedly, in my opinion, you know, predatory. It just sounds predatory. And for her, she probably explained it so many different ways, and she probably got responses that were not really pinpointing or necessarily protecting her. And it's giving me a little bit of flashbacks of being in the industry, where when you would probably explain exactly what I just read right now to someone a few years ago in the industry, not many would go, oh, that's horrible. This is predatory behavior. Let me protect you. Let me put this person out of a position of power. Is this person wanting to be held accountable? Are they continuing to be unaccountable? Those things didn't happen in the industry or anywhere, actually. And this is why, for me, you know, it's one thing if someone does something that's very, very, you know, it could be unforgivable. It's a survivor's choice. If a person is actually admitting to what they did and they're sorry, genuinely sorry, they're putting forward their ways of reparations, the survivor is the center of what the survivor wants on their justice path, this would be a whole different world. The reason why I get really angry at these alleged predators in particular is because they're unaccountable. They don't want to be held accountable. They lie and they continue to say that they didn't do it. They continue to not be held accountable, and a lot of them get to keep their positions of power and possibly get access to more and more victims. And so when these people that work with these individuals go, oh, you know, I like him. Do you? Because if you actually liked him, by the way, you would want him to be a healthy person, admit what they did, not living two lives, admit what they did, be held accountable like every person should, proper reparations, care about human life, care about their behavior, care about their actions. What is liking people anymore? You know, I just heard that a lot in the industry. Oh, I really like him though. Or I really like her though. Or I really like them though. What does that mean? If you like somebody, if you care about someone, you don't excuse their behavior. You hold them accountable. You make sure that they do the right thing. Because if they don't, then that person is a public safety issue. And what community is for is to make sure that we are constantly trying at our best to create safe environments. And if we know that someone is a risk and that person is refusing to be held accountable, to take responsibility for their actions, then it is our responsibility to remove them from positions of power. Because what they do is ABUSE positions of power. They ABUSE power. And so they're a public safety issue. Accountability. Oh, do we see? Oh, bubblegum bite. Melanie's in here. Melanie. That made me happy. But you know what I mean? It would be nice to live in a utopian society where everyone's being held accountable properly. There's support for that to be. It's survivor-centric justice, what the survivor needs and wants. What a wonderful world. But that is not the world we live in. The opposite. And it's punishment over responsibility. And so you have all of these companies not even wanting to be held accountable themselves, when I think it would actually help these companies Instead of just donating to charities for SA, if they were actually taking action, holding people accountable, holding themselves accountable, then there isn't even cancel culture. It's just accountability culture. We want to create safe environments. And I think that makes it look better than a lie, than lying and donating and all this bullshit. Sorry, I just had to go on that rant for a second. It's like such bullshit. I'm done with the charitable acts. I'm done with the unaccountable. Done with it. It's so old news. It's time for a new era, and this is why I get pissed off. Anyways, resume. Sorry, guys. Sometimes I read this and I'm just like, I can't. After backing plaintiff into a wall, leaving plaintiff with no escape, plaintiff also tried to use her desk to create physical distance between herself and defendant Green, positioning her desk in an attempt to make it difficult for defendant Green to violate plaintiff's personal space. I mean, see how in detail this is? Survivors are specific. Defendant Green scolded plaintiff for standing up from her chair, demanding that plaintiff remain seated until defendant Green decided that she could stand. Who are you, dude? Allegedly. He's an alleged dad too, I bet. But who are you? Defendant Green consistently, routinely, and or repeatedly used defendant Green's hands to touch plaintiff's legs, shoulders, neck, blank. A plaintiff did stand up despite defendant Green's orders to remain seated. Defendant Green used defendant Green's hands to... Horrible. Defendant Green defendant Green. She would not stand next to defendant Green when group photographs were taken, as defendant Green frequently used such opportunities to grope her. Ay. Alleged dad, I'm seeing the emotes. Alleged dad. After plaintiff returned home from work one night, she received a call from her female supervisor at Defendant Academy. When plaintiff answered the phone, she immediately heard the supervisor crying. As the supervisor asked plaintiff if plaintiff was having an affair with defendant Green. After plaintiff, oh my God, you guys, just wait for it. Wait for what I'm about to say out loud. You guys are not going to believe this. After plaintiff told her supervisor that she was not having an affair with defendant Green, plaintiff's supervisor disclosed to plaintiff that plaintiff's supervisor had been in a relationship with defendant Green for some time, and that plaintiff's supervisor had recently aborted defendant Green's child after defendant Green impregnated her. This is an alleged dad in a way that I don't think we've seen here at ePredators Daily. This is a whole new level of alleged dad. So her supervisor in a relationship, I don't even know about that because of the unhealthy power dynamic. But can you imagine being SH'd, allegedly? Imagine that happening. You're talking to your supervisor, and your supervisor is telling you that. What's happening at the Recording Academy? What is happening at the Recording Academy, allegedly? That's pretty bad. Plaintiff was demanded to perform S acts for continued employment. Plaintiff was threatened that defendant Green, through his position at Defendant Academy, could end plaintiff's career instantaneously. And she's a single mom. This is just awful. Defendant Green again entered plaintiff's office without notice or permission. Now, this is where we're going to end for today. I'm going to read this last bit. This is very important to say this part because these allegations are very serious. They're already obviously very serious, but, this is what I'm about to read right here, trigger warning. and it's Pepperdine University. Okay. While plaintiff was in her office at Defendant Academy's headquarters, Defendant Green again entered plaintiff's office without notice or permission. In plaintiff's office, Defendant Green commanded plaintiff to leave with Defendant Green in 15 minutes to attend a meeting at Pepperdine University in Malibu, California. Plaintiff is informed and believes, and thereon alleges, that Pepperdine University was being considered as an additional site for an upcoming Grammy in the school's event. Defendant Green told plaintiff that Defendant Green would drive himself and plaintiff to Pepperdine University. As Defendant Green drove north on the Pacific Coast Highway, PCH, Defendant Green turned into a housing development in or around Malibu, California. Once in the development, Defendant Green drove toward the ocean and pulled in the driveway of a large home that was under construction. Plaintiff asked Defendant Green why they were stopping at the home, to which Defendant Green replied that they were early for their meeting and that Defendant Green wanted to show plaintiff Defendant Green's new home. What? There was construction happening there, so she thought she was going to be safe, it says here. She gets out of the car. At this time, plaintiff also informed Defendant Green that plaintiff was... Oh, okay. I got to go back. Plaintiff was nervous given Defendant Green's SA, a plaintiff in Hawaii, and his continued SH and or SA at Defendant Academy. However, the presence of construction workers in and around Defendant Green's home somewhat eased plaintiff's concerns. After Defendant Green led plaintiff through a tour of Defendant Green's new home, Defendant Green told plaintiff that he wanted plaintiff to see Defendant Green's private beach. Fearful of protesting against Defendant Green, I'm going to be protesting against Defendant Green. Okay, you're sorry, I keep saying the word protesting. I'm like, I'm ready to go protest Defendant Green. That's his new name now. I'm going to have a sign that he's just Defendant Green forever. Right? Defendant Green? That's his new name. Alleged dad, Defendant Green. Plaintiff reluctantly followed Defendant Green down to Defendant Green's beach. At the beach, Defendant Green sat on a rock and requested plaintiff sit next to Defendant Green. However, fearful, this freaked me out. I got a huge trigger when I read this before I went into the shower today. It goes, at this time, plaintiff also informed Defendant Green that plaintiff was menstruating. The same is in my complaint. I thought that was going to derail what ended up happening to me, and it didn't. But then when I read that, I was like, oh, that's the first time I've heard another survivor say that, and it really just really triggered me. But also I felt less alone and connected to this survivor from far away. Plaintiff had hoped that this would dissuade Defendant Green from subjecting plaintiff to further SA and SH. Defendant Green then led plaintiff back into Defendant Green's home, where the construction workers who had been present earlier were now completely absent. In the kitchen of his home, Defendant Green pulled out 2 chairs from beneath a table. After plaintiff sat down in one of the chairs, Defendant Green remained standing and paced around plaintiff. As Defendant Green paced around plaintiff, Defendant Green talked about Pepperdine University and the university's potential involvement in the Grammys and the school's events. As Defendant Green paced around, plaintiff had lost track of Defendant Green's physical proximity to her. Suddenly, Defendant Green appeared in front of plaintiff with Defendant Green's blank exposed to plaintiff as Defendant Green stood over her. Before plaintiff could react, Defendant Green grabbed the back of plaintiff's head. I can't even say the rest of it. This is horrible. Gagged. Defendant Green then blanked in mouth. As Defendant Green moved Green's hand from the back firmly This is horrible, you guys. Can't even read the rest of this. As defendant Green pressed, here we go. After defense Green of defendant Green's blank out of plaintiff's mouth, he said, next time, don't SWALLOW so fast. This is so vile right here. I don't know if you guys can see it. I love the taste of my own. This is very specific. I love when they talk about, these reported survivors. Oh, that made me so angry. And it's like, relax for a second. I always get really angry, though, when they say these survivors don't know what they're talking about. And, meanwhile, Neil Portnow is explaining Thanksgiving and Buddha, while these reported survivors, are going into great detail. I mean, great detail. This is 60 pages long. And I'm very inspired by this survivor because I know what a lot of the enablers or not nice people would say when reading that complaint, the typical questions. Why didn't you leave? Why did you blank, blank, blank? And what I find really impressive is that her name's on this complaint. And this was in the 90s. And this woman's a single mom. I'm really inspired by her. I really am. Because that takes a lot to revisit such a traumatizing time. But I'm like, should I say alleged past? God. And to be reliving this in such intense detail, putting your name on it is just very inspiring. So, power to Terry McIntyre. And we are definitely going to be protesting and have her strength in mind. Because if she can do that, I can go stand there by the red carpet at the Grammys and protest. That's why I really, as triggered as I get reading survivor stories, it's this weird back and forth where I feel triggered, and I have moments of that. And then I feel this immense inspiration and strength and empowerment. I don't know. I can't explain it, but it's very strange. It goes back and forth. And then I feel like the empowerment ends up outweighing the trigger where I'm just like, yes, to support thank you so much, Jordan, to support the upcoming protest, Power to Survivors. Thank you so much, Jordan. You're amazing. Thank you so much. So, okay, let's just finish this up here. God, Defendant Green then released his grip into the chair. This goes 60 pages long. So that's why I wanted to just kind of put this in parts. I will end up finishing it on Thursday before we go into our main topic of Thursday. But I wanted to just let people hear these stories, these complaints before protesting, because then for those even that are not going to be physically at the protest at the Grammys, just people who are watching virtually, you're going to know why we're there. And I'm kind of upset with how the media has portrayed these allegations because there's so much left out. And when you hear these reported survivors go into such great detail, your heart can't help but break for them. And you just want them to get justice. You want them to feel good. You want them just to feel peace, liberation, whatever it is. You just want that for them. And so I really do believe if most people heard and read these complaints rather than just the headlines on Twitter or the headlines in Variety. No offense, but if they were to actually read these stories, you would feel these survivors and you would have compassion for them if you have a soul, if you have a heart, And so thank you for everyone who, sat here today and went through that complaint, because I know it's not easy and I know it can be triggering. And, if you know anybody in the Los Angeles area or even Northern California or Southern who is willing to even just drive in to protest, please email epredators@gmail.com. If you're from afar, anything counts, helping support Patreon. I was thinking that we'll do at least one night of protest making streaming for members. Let me know if that sounds good to you. I think that would be a great way of getting everyone active. You can all also make protest signs. We can share them on the Reddit. Just all get active together. What is everyone saying? The media article barely covers the allegations, right, Melanie? Like when you read the articles, you're like, what? This doesn't say anything. The sun's going down, you guys. It's very different than being in the studio. I feel like I'm like on FaceTime right now. But yeah, the media doesn't say shit. And it's so important to, I'm serious. I'm going to open the Substack that's going to come along with the zine, and I'm going to start making it available to read and share these complaints. Because also maybe, like if I was an employee at Recording Academy and I just kind of heard the story, but then I got access to the complaint and I read the complaint, I might have something to say to my boss. I might have, even when you're an employee, you can make suggestions to your boss on like ways that you want to see change. Not that they ever really listen, but you can do that. And I feel like if employees there knew these allegations, they would be protesting the Recording Academy too. And so I do want to show everyone something really quickly. So we do have some actual co-sponsors, supporters of the protest that's happening at the Grammys. One of them is the 100 Percenters. If you don't know who Tiffany Red is, please Google this incredible advocate, activist, just wonderful human being. She's a songwriter. Read her op-ed in Rolling Stone about Cassie and Diddy. She is an incredible ally, and I can't recommend that op-ed enough. She has a pledge going on, Safe Music Business Pledge, and I just thought I would end it with kind of like a little bit of a funny, not funny, but like in the sense of look who took the pledge. So it says who took the pledge, and we got the Recording Academy and then Predators. But I love taking, but it's like, what would be great on top of taking the pledge is accountability. But you know what the Recording Academy is saying about the reported survivor? Lying. And so I have a hard time with these charitable, I think it's great. And at the same time, they need to actually take action. Taking a pledge is so different than, but you have to believe the survivor and help the survivor get justice, not discredit. That's not it. It's just not it. So anyways, please check out the 100 Percenters. They will be, giving us support on February 4th, and such an incredible nonprofit. Can't say any more good things about Tiffany Red. She's such a badass. And that's it. That's it for At Home Eat Predators Daily. You guys are amazing. Thursday, I will be reading a Survivor of the Week story, and I'm going to be reading David's poem and sharing that with everyone. We'll go into, if you have anybody that I haven't really covered that you would want me to look into, digest, please email epredators@gmail.com, because sometimes I'm surprised that I didn't see this or that. And so if you do think that I've missed anyone, because there's a lot, sadly, please email and suggest. And thank you all for being here. Okay, so not this week, but next week, we're going to start the new schedule. So Tuesday, Thursdays live, ePredators Daily. And then on Wednesdays, we're going to be having a community hangout, documentary gathering. Friday will either be the Hard Feelings or the Social Change Now. And then we got meditation every week. And we got Survivor Listening Group Wednesday and Saturdays with Sabine. She is so incredible. She's been helping so much, and I just want to give a huge shout out to her. She is so amazing. We really, really, really adore Sabine and thank her so much for all of the help. And that's it. Thank you, mods. Thank you, community. It was nice being at home today, honestly. It was kind of cool. I enjoyed doing this at home, actually. Bye, you guys. Have a good night, and I will see you Thursday. Bye, guys.